Hello and welcome back to Dear Esther. So, moving on into the second chapter now. So earlier he was talking about, Paul being drunk or something like that, which indicates that Paul might have been involved in the accident, may have been, another vehicle involved in the accident. And here we are out onto the bay here now. You go over there, it's a dead end. Gives you a nice view, but I'm not going to go over there right now. So as you can see, the sort of the backstory is being revealed bit by bit, bits and pieces. So I think so far with what the idea is that he and Paul were shipwrecked here. Like they have managed to end up on a ship together and were shipwrecked. So this looks more like a cargo ship. So you can see these cargo containers. Big cargo containers. Ship's been here a while. I do want to go around over here. Oh look, more cans. More cans of that paint. So there's where we're going to go when we leave here, but I want to go over here first because there's something to see over here. So written on the side of the ship. Neither did he eat nor drink.
There must be a hole in the bottom of the boat. How else could new hermits have arrived?
New hermits. Hermits? Like real hermits? Like people who live away from civilization? Or hermit crabs? Neither did he eat nor drink. So that is another reference to the biblical account of Paul's conversion on the road to Damascus. Because what the account goes that Paul, at the time known as Saul, was a persecutor. He was a Pharisee.
I had kidney stones and you visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk.
So that implies that, Esther being rendered opaque by the car of a drunk. Was Esther injured? Was she killed?
When I first looked into the shaft, I swear I felt the stones in my stomach shift in recognition.
So I'm actually going to go ahead and jump in here because I'm going to demonstrate what happens when you, quote, die in this game. You don't really die. You
Come
get this
back.
interesting sort of underwater kind of sound, and then you hear him say, come back, and boom, you're up here on more or less where you left off. Except in this case, you end up over here on the other side of the shaft. Anyway, so, back to the conversion of Paul on the road to Damascus. He was a persecutor of early Christians. This was shortly after Jesus was crucified. And apparently, according to the account, on the road to Damascus, where he was going to engage in more...
I've begun to climb, away from the sea and towards the center. It is a straight line to the summit, where the evening begins to coil around the aerial and squeeze the signals into early silence. The bothy squats against the mount to avoid the gaze of the aerial. I too will creep under the island like an animal and approach it from the northern shore.
So he was on his way to Damascus to, I guess, bring some Christians back for prosecution? Because at the time, of course, the Christianity was, it was just getting started. And the account says that he saw this blinding light, and he heard a voice, and he was blinded.
The bothy was constructed originally in the early 1700s. By then, shepherding had formalized into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jakobsen, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. He came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him either.
I keep getting interrupted by the narration. But he was blinded, and then he was...
My heart is landfill. These false dawns waking into the still never light. I sweat for you in the small hours and wrap my blankets into a mass. I've always heard the waves break on these lost shores, always the gulls forgotten. I can lift this bottle to my ear, and all there ever is for me is this Hebridean music.
And, oh look, there's somebody walking over there. I did not see that the first time. I don't know who that is, or who that is supposed to be. Anyway, so I'm almost done talking about this. He was blind for 3 days and he didn't eat or drink. And that's what that reference was, is he neither ate nor drank. Yeah, I didn't notice the person in that cave the first time. Of course, I took an alternate route. I actually went down the cliff down here.
Jakobsen's ribcage, they told Donnelly, was deformed, the result of some birth defect or perhaps a traumatic injury as a child. Brittle and overblown it was, and desperately light. Perhaps it was this that finally did for him, unable to contain the shattering of his heart. In half-light, his skeleton a discarded prop, a false and calcified seabird.
And I don't think that one was played during my first playthrough, so that was new. Yeah, the first time I played through it, I actually came down
They found Jakobsen in the
hill
early
here.
spring. The thaw had only just come. Even though he'd been dead nearly 7 months, his body had been frozen right down to the nerves and had not even begun to decompose. He'd struggled halfway down the cliff path, perhaps looking for some lost goat, or perhaps in a delirium, and expired, curled into a claw right under the winter moon. Even the animals shunned his corpse. The mainlanders thought to bring it home unlucky. Donnelly claims they dragged it to the caves to thaw out and rot, but he is proving an unreliable witness.
So who are these people he's talking about, Jakobsen and Donnelly? Don't know. I don't think it was really adequately explained the first time I played through. Maybe it will be better explained this time through. Because, you know, also some of the stuff you heard going around down that slope there, I don't...
Climbing down to the caves, I slipped and fell and have injured my leg. I think the femur is broken.
Oops.
It is clearly infected. The skin has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on waves, winter tides against my shoreline, drowning out the ache of my stones. I struggled back to the bothy to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way this is likely to end. The medical supplies I looted from the trawler have suddenly found their purpose. They will keep me lucid for my final ascent.
Well, that sucks. So here we have a candle. Actually, no, that last loading screen might not have been the end of the first chapter. I don't know. Because I think we're going to see another loading screen here. Yep. And I'm just going to go ahead and keep recording because that was only a short time. There might end up being more than 4 of these. We'll see. So that...
Donnelly's addiction is my one true constant. Even though I wake in false dawns and find the landscape changing, flowing inconstantly through my tears, I know his reaching is always upon me.
So now I'm down in the cave. Look at that. So, you know, if you had come down here in real life, I would have killed you. I don't think you would have survived the fall. But here we have light. From where? We don't know. Some kind of luminescence? Bioluminescence? Here we have more luminous. Okay, did you see that? How... Okay, so I walk up here, and all of a sudden I get really short. I think the idea is I'm supposedly crouching down to go through the cave. So this cave area is really kind of incredible how they did this. Okay, there's the exit, but I'm going to go ahead and walk around this gallery here.
They'd stop the traffic back as far as the Sandford Junction and come up the hard shoulder like radio signals from another star. It took 21 minutes for them to arrive. I watched Paul time it to the second on his watch.
So, again, sounds like another reference to the accident. So, the narrator and Paul were both involved in this accident. And I think what's supposed was the idea is, what the way it was we were supposed to interpret it as that is, Paul was driving one car. The narrator was in or driving the other car. And here we have a different molecule, which I don't recognize what that is. So I'm going to move on. But we also have what look like electrical diagrams. Circuitry. Might it have something to do with the aerial, which is that antenna that we've been seeing in the distance. A radio, perhaps. This is pretty amazing. Just look at that. And now we have to go down into the pool. I don't know if you can drown in this game, but I'm not going to worry about finding out. The water effects are nice too. I mean, you know, the source engine when it comes to water isn't, you know, is actually kind of primitive by the standard of today's game engines, but they did a really nice job with what they had. Kind of let you look at this for a bit. First time I came through here, I took a lot of screenshots. This is a very screenshotable game. Oh, dang it. Crap. Well, I didn't know you could even do that if you know, unless you screwed up. Apparently I screwed up, so anyway, we wound up back down here. So, back up we go. Up and around. I will be more careful next time. So hopefully I will not fall off and down into the water again. Unless the idea is you're supposed to do that once. The first time I played through this, I did jump off. I just went ahead and jumped off, thinking it was a different place, not realizing it was the same pool that we'd fallen down from before, after we'd come out of there. Alright, so I'm going to make sure I stay along the side here. Do not slide down there. Very good, very good. Yeah, see, we came up there and jumped down in there, and then now we're skirting around the edge. Oh, hey, another candle. Who lit the candle? That candle, I mean, you know, as thick as it is, candles only last so long. So that would imply that there is actually somebody else here on the island besides me who is maintaining these candles. Crouch down. and then maybe stand up again.
I am
Okay.
traveling through my own body, following the line of infection from the shattered femur towards the heart. I swallow fistfuls of painkillers to stay lucid. In my delirium, I see the twin lights of the moon and the Ariel shining to me through the rocks.
So you can walk down there, or you can walk down there. They're dead ends. Here we have that molecule again, and it looks like an electrical diagram. I'm not going to go ahead and walk down there. There's nothing really down there to see. I think there might be some more paint. Stuff painted on the walls, but that's it. There's a lot of water down here. All these stalactites. And stalagmites. More paint. Whoever painted these things went through a lot of paint. Okay, now this is really pretty here. It's glowing gems, reflective of the light. See how the reflections change.
When I was coming round from the operation, I remember the light they shone in my eyes to check for pupil contraction. It was like staring up at a moonlit sky from the bottom of a well. People moved at the summit, but I could not tell if you were one of them.
More candles. Behold, Damascus is taken, I think is what that says. The writing is not real clear. And wow, look at this. Damascus. Lots of references to Damascus. Damascus is taken. Electrical diagrams. Other weird patterns. Some away from being, I don't know what that is. And it shall be a ruinous keep? Reap? I don't know. Those are not sprites, but they also are not solid. You can move through them. More pretty blue. Now we're gonna go swimming. Underwater, above water, swimming along the surface. And another drop. Another thing we're going to jump into. And another. So here we have what looks kind of like a dream sequence. We're on a road. We're underwater, but we're on a road. Okay, this is different. The first time I played through this, there was a bed, like a hospital bed here, with what looked like an IV drip bag attached to it. Here we have cars, presumably the cars that were involved in the accident. One of which is Paul's, one of which is the narrator's. And I'm swimming. First time I played through this, I eventually swam straight up, and that ended the scene. Let's see what happens if I go sideways far enough. Yes, it ends the scene. Oh, Bubkus is playing Path of Exile. What do you know? So now I am in the pool. where the shore is that I can climb out onto. And then I'm going to climb out of the shore. And I'm actually going to go ahead and end this segment here. Now that I've climbed out of the water, instead of waiting for the next loading screen, I'm going to go ahead and end this segment here. So, thanks for watching, and we'll pick it up in the next video.